Hey, what's up, and welcome to Q&A, the show where I take your questions from YouTube, Twitter, and answer them here in video format on YouTube. So a lot of questions. I think we got about 6 or 7 today. We're going to jump into it. And let's start with the question from Nash, who says, hey, Q, Jerome Ford, Ernest Johnson, what is the move you think we have with them? Save them for insurance, or potentially trading Johnson for almost a worthless late round pick? Can we expect to see something more out of them to keep our star backs fresh? I've been saying this for 3 years, and it feels like I say this into an empty void. We have to stop assuming people just want players and will trade for them, right? Like, we do this. Every team thinks that they can get a 6th round pick for a third stringer that they don't use. You can't, right? And I saw this coming with Ernest Johnson, where everybody was like, hey, hold him out, you can get picks, where nobody was really going after him when he was in a restricted free agency period, right, where he could have got something, the Browns could have matched it. Nobody went after it. Nobody went after the tender for him. It tells me nobody really wanted him like that, so nobody was going to trade for him. We have this idea that we can just squeeze draft picks out of players. I don't think that's a thing. So I think right now, Ernest Johnson is there for insurance in case Nick Chubb goes down, because like I said, Ernest is somebody who can be your 1 or your 3, but he can't be your 2, right? He is a too patient of a runner to be a change of pace guy. Now, if he goes to a team where the main guy is more of an aggressive style runner, and then you can switch it up. But in this situation with the Cleveland Browns, he can either start if Nick Chubb's not there, or he can be 3rd or 4th string. But there's not really a lane for him to be 2. Jerome Ford is more suited to be 2 just because his style is more complementary of Nick Chubb, right? Because Nick Chubb has that downhill patient style where Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt are fast guys who just blitz the holes. So again, it's just one of those things where a player just doesn't have a great fit here, and a great role carved out for him. So we'll see how that plays into itself as we go forward. Matt with the question says, hey, I noticed a lot of people are annoyed by the offense last week, but honestly, manufacturing 26 points off 1 turnover ain't too bad when you think about it, especially with Brissett at QB. With that said, do you think this offense will be more serviceable than people think it'll be? This is my point that I'm making, and we'll see how long this lasts, because if they play like poop, I'm not gonna lie. But from what I saw from week 1, and that's the very important context this comes in, I think that the Browns offense has the ability to be a limited offense, but not a bad offense, right? And I think that's what they are. They're a limited offense. They're not a bad offense. A bad offense is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who put up 20 points, had 15 possessions, so 4 more than the Cleveland Browns, and got 7 of those 20 points off a turnover, off a pick 6. That's a terrible offense. 14 points off 15 possessions. That's a bad, well, no, not 14, 17 points off 15 possessions. That's a bad offense. That's a bad offense. And they got 4 turnovers in that game. Five turnovers in that game. 17 points. Browns got 1 turnover, 26 points. It's not a bad offense. It's just a limited offense. And I think, we're so quick to want to push this into a category of good, bad, mid, that we don't evaluate things for what they are well enough before we make that determination. I think a lot of people went Browns offense, bad, threw it in the bad category, when in reality, it's not a bad offense. It's just a limited offense. What does limited mean, right? You might ask. It's an offense that can score points, but the ways in which they can score points is limited, right? The Browns aren't going to be a quick strike team. The Browns aren't going to be a team that you would feel comfortable going 99 yards in 55 seconds with 2 timeouts. They're just not that kind of an attack. They're not going to be a downfield attack team. They're not going to be a vertical attack team for the first 11 weeks. But they can run the ball. They can throw the ball moderately well. And they can move the ball on offense. They're not a bad offense. They're just a limited one. And I think that's a very, very important distinction to make, because bad offenses don't make the playoffs. Bad offenses don't go 500. Bad offenses don't get to the Super Bowl, right? Every team that we have ever talked about with a bad offense that had a level of success, they're not a bad offense. They weren't bad offenses, actually. They were limited offenses, right? We could talk about the Ravens getting that Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer, but they had other good players on that offense. They had Shannon Sharp. I'm not 100% sure if they had Jamal Lewis, but they had good players on that offense. They just were a limited offense. Same thing with any other example you want to point out. Tampa Bay, all these things. They had good players on offense like the Browns do. They were just limited because of the quarterback position. We have to start making that distinction, right, whenever we bring up these things, because I think it's led into this myth when we say Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. You don't need a franchise quarterback to win with the Eagles. And that can be true. But we make it about the quarterback instead about the team, right? So instead of saying, okay, if you have a good offense around Nick Foles and you don't ask him to do much, you have enough. Instead, people go, hey, you don't have to think about the rest. We got Nick Foles, right? Like, people think about this backwards sometimes. And that's what I want to emphasize. The Browns offense is not a bad offense. It's just a limited one. And if they continue to only be a limited offense instead of a bad one, they can win a lot of games. If they fall behind being a limited offense and turn into a bad offense, they're not going to win that many games. So again, you can be limited. You just don't need to be bad. And the Browns weren't bad on Sunday. They were limited. So that's my take on that. The next question comes from Adam, who says, hey, Q, what are your thoughts on PERRION being withheld due to disciplinary actions? You think this could be an issue moving forward that could hurt his career? It seems to be that he is dealing with some issues with the adjustment from college to NFL. You guys know, if you watch this channel for any period of time, I'm a big believer in WINFREY. I think he has a lot of skills and a lot of tool sets to be a successful player in the NFL. He is going through some things disciplinary. I don't know what the nature of these things are. And I'm not going to make a determination or speculate here. I don't believe that to be responsible. All I can do from a distance and from the outside looking in is hope good things for WINFREY, the person. Hope he gets to figure stuff out for himself so he can take advantage of this opportunity that's in front of him, that's rare as a NFL player. And be able to make the best out of it, right? Like, I want WINFREY, whichever way it takes at the end of the day, to be the best version of himself. Hopefully that's as a really good football player for the Cleveland Browns, but if that takes shape in another way or manifests itself in another way, I just want this guy, who I believe in as a player, but also believe in as a person, to become the best version of himself. And sometimes in order to get there, that process is a little bit messy. It's sloppy. It's not a linear path. So I think it's important that we, one, give this situation the privacy that and the respect that it deserves, and two, make sure that we're not doing dumb things like DM and being mad at WINFREY because of this stuff, or just like being jerks on the internet. Like, we need to have patience. We need to have some empathy here when players are going through these things, because we don't know how this is going to manifest itself into year 2, year 3, and ultimately how it will manifest itself in his personal life. I hope everything is okay with him. I wish the best for him. I'm a big believer in him as a football player and as a human being, and I think that he can fix and get past this moment in his life to get to the next one. You know what I mean? And hopefully he gets there as a better person, because I believe in that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the PERRION Winfrey thing. You know, I just really wish a lot of well for him. Wesley James says, "Hey Q, what's the number one key to having a winning record with Brissett so we can make a playoff push when Watson steps in?" It's basically what I said earlier, right? You need to have not a bad offense, but the limited offense, right? The offense needs to just be limited. It can't be bad. If it's just limited, you'll be all right. We'll get to 6, 7, 5, whatever games we need to get to. We'll get to that. I'm confident. I am 100% confident. If this offense remains as limited but not bad, they'll get there. They'll get there. And they might have better results than people assume. I'm 100% confident in that. But that's what it takes. And I think they're fully capable of doing that. And I think the team is confident in their ability to do that. But that's my thoughts on that. Let me know. The next question is from Mike, who says, do you feel they're going to let Kareem get his value up and trade him midseason, or do we try to extend him? No, I don't think they're going to do that. I think Kareem's here for the year. If they were going to trade him, they would have done it in camp. They're not going to do it. That would be kind of dumb, in my opinion. I don't know what you're going to get for Kareem Hunt that's going to make your team better. And if you're a team that's trying to win games, what are you doing trading Kareem Hunt? The next question comes from Ford Family 6, who says, what's up, Q? First and foremost, thank you for the content. So many questions. So here's my question. Do you believe that Deshaun, when he comes back, will be in a prime position to take back the reins for a playoff run? And will he be explosive enough to take the team where we're all seeing they can go? Or will the rust of darn near 2 seasons off be very real? This is the difficult part with projecting with Deshaun Watson, because we don't really have a lot of case studies, right? We have Jimmy Garoppolo, who joined the team mid to late his first year, and he won 6 games in a row. So there is that. We have Mike Vick, who didn't play for 2 years, but like being in jail, like he was in jail. That's not the same as like just not being in the NFL for a year. You know, like Deshaun had access to all his resources, all his trainers, all the advanced training that he's usually equipped to. Mike Vick was living a very different life for like 2 years. And then, what's his name? Trent Williams is another example of a guy who went almost 700 days between games. Like Deshaun will have gone 700 days between games, and Trent Williams was fine. But again, that's left tackle. So there's not a one-to-one comparison that's helpful in this. I would say this. I can only project what the problems with rust will be with Deshaun Watson to my own experiences with rust. And sometimes when I haven't done something for a while, it takes like 2 reps and I'm fine. I'm back in it. Sometimes it takes months for me to get back in it like I used to be back in it. It's something that kind of depends. And I know it's not a great answer because it doesn't give people a definitive feeling on what they should feel. Deshaun could come back that first game and play lights out, and he'll be all right, and then things will be back to normal. He could struggle the first 3 weeks. I don't think there's a definitive amount of time that we could put on the rust because I don't know the nature of what this rust is going to be for him. Like, does he not feel rusty because he played in preseason? I don't know. Like, I can't answer that. So I think more likely than not, he's probably going to be Deshaun sooner than later. You know, history points to guys who are really good at things like that. They tend to pick it back up really fast. So that's what I think, but like I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have any confidence. I mean, not confidence. I don't lack confidence. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's definitive though, but that's just kind of what I think. But thank you for that question. Y'all have a great day. Have a great night. Peace.